We are joined right now by staff writer for the Atlantic magazine, Megan Garber, who joins us, and she wrote a piece called "The Boston Bombers Were Muslim." So, why we turn to labels in times of crisis and why we should stop. And let's say hello to Megan. Hey, Megan, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. I'm glad you could join us. I appreciate it. All right, from reading your piece on the Atlantic, you make a lot of valid points. That people are complex, that these terrorists were also students, they were also brothers, they were also sons, they were also, in one case, a husband, a father. They're complex, they were all human beings. But when push comes to shove, as we know now, it's pretty safe to assume, as person after person has admitted in law enforcement and elsewhere, even the brother who's still alive has reportedly admitted, saying his brother became radicalized as a Muslim over the internet. Whether or not that's 100% true or not, I think he might have going back to Russia might have had something to do with training or whatever. But these were two men who turned into terrorists, and the motivation was jihad. I don't. So labeling them as Muslim identifies really who they are: radical Islamists, Muslims. That's why the media was openly praying, many in the media, that the perpetrators would be white. And I could play you the sound bites of people in the media saying that, praying that they wouldn't be Muslim men. So what's your problem with calling them Muslims?
Well, first of all, I think we need to make the distinction between Muslim and Islamist terrorists or something like that. Muslim is obviously not jihadist, so that's the first thing I would say. But what I wanted to focus on in my piece was really the early days of media coverage, when we really don't know a lot about these people, when all we know is that there's a good chance they were Muslim. Yes, actually they were Muslim, but we don't know much more than that. And we know that they're students, we know that they're brothers. And I think that in those early days, even in those early hours, when we just don't have a lot of information, there's a tendency to sort of jump on labels and look to categories to give us answers.
Are you talking about when you say early days, though, Megan? I want to make it clear. Are you talking about in the immediate aftermath of the bombing, or once we saw that was before?
No. Well, both of those actually, because in the immediate aftermath of the bombing, there was a lot of speculation about who might have done it,
and it was all supposed right wing, and it was all supposed right wing.
How do you mean?
The speculation in the immediate aftermath of the bombing in the media was that it's Patriots Day. Was even David Axelrod said the president on the first day came out and didn't call it terrorism because he knew it was tax day and thought it might be related to tax day or Patriots Day. We heard from NPR and MSNBC and NBC about how Hitler's birthday is coming up and the anniversary of Waco and the anniversary of Timothy McVeigh and all you heard was why it would be a right-winger. That's all we heard. It wasn't until it was force-fed down the media's throats that it was Muslims. Then we heard it was Muslims.
Well, let me make clear. This is a fair game kind of argument on my part. I think that is equally bad to assume that it's people making a commentary about tax day, to assume that it's people making a commentary about Patriots Day. To me, the source of it is a separate sort of thing. Like, I just don't want all that speculation at first, because I want the facts to come out and speak for themselves. I want us to actually make informed.
I agree.
Assessments. That's really what I was saying in my piece.
I agree.
And now that we know more, the picture is kind of coming together slowly, as it should. But that takes time to develop.
Right, and your piece was written, I should say, on Friday of last week, but that was after we did have the pictures of the brothers, and of course, very soon, we knew that they were Muslim. We knew what was posted on their websites, on their YouTube postings, and we knew that there were rantings from radical Islamic imam, and we heard about arguments that the brothers had with friends about one friend said that the younger one said that it's not terrorism if you come from a certain place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm with you that, this is not all Muslims, not by any means. On the other hand, with few exceptions, whether they're Al-Qaeda or whether they're homegrown radicalized, the people who try to pull off these attacks and are thwarted, or the people who pull off these attacks are radical Muslims doing it based on their religion. And we have to open our eyes to that.
You can say they're radicals, and in this case, yes, it looks like they were Muslims. But to me, the pertinent point.
What do you mean it looks like they were Muslims? They were Muslims. They are Muslims.
Well, okay, but it looks like they might have been acting on some kind of, goal of jihad, perhaps.
Right.
But my point, though, is that we don't. I mean, what matters is that they were radical, right? That's the distinction that I want to make, and I think often the media doesn't do a very good job of sort of making those distinctions between Muslim and radicalized Muslim.
Oh, I think the media goes so far out of its way not to even say the word Muslim or terrorist or Islam or jihad. That in fact the president doesn't let anybody say jihad anymore. John Brennan said that jihad is a good thing. I just think you couldn't be more off on how far the media has gone in the other direction, to the point where our president, our administration, and our media would have us believe that our problem is just al-Qaeda, just a few terrorists, just one group, and if we could get rid of al-Qaeda, we'll be fine, when, yes, it's a small percentage. I don't know what that percentage is. And when you're talking about a couple of billion people who are Muslims, even a small percentage is a lot of people. So I don't know what the number is, but it's not insignificant, and they're willing to kill us because we're American, because we're not Muslim. So I don't know how you hide that.
I don't think you should try to hide it, but I do think that what is pertinent here is that these people were outliers. These people were not representative of anything that I can see. They had very particular circumstances. If they were indeed radicalized, it happened in a very particular and idiosyncratic way. And I think it's very sort of dangerous to sort of project their unique circumstance onto, even if it is a large percentage of Muslims who might wish harm on the U.S. or who might, not even be sure about the goodness of the U.S., that kind of thing. I mean, I don't like that idea of sort of projecting.
Well, I said a small percentage. I said even if it's a small percentage, it's a large number. And you could look, Bill Maher, who I never agree with, had a guest on who was saying, "Oh, there's good and bad in every religion," and Bill Maher said that's liberal BS. He said, "Which religion will cut your head off if they don't like people? From which religion will people be affiliated with who will cut your head off if they don't like a cartoon?" I mean, we have to face facts. Radical Islam is a worldwide movement and a worldwide problem, and it's killed people in this country, thousands of them.
Yeah, that could be true.
What do you mean? What do you mean it could be true? You won't admit it?
It was true on 9/11. It was true in other unique circumstances.
Wait. So what I said was it's a worldwide problem that has killed people in this country and has tried to kill people in this country and has killed people all over the world. That could be true?
Well, I'm wondering what examples you're thinking of.
What examples? There's terrorists blowing up Christians and churches all over the Middle East. They blow up other Muslims in Israel, in here in the United States. I mean, you're oblivious to terrorist groups all over the world that are Muslim terrorist groups?
I'm certainly not oblivious, but I do think that it's very dicey to assume motivation. And I'm not
you know what the motivation is? Jihad. Jihad.
Okay. I'm not sure. Are we having a conversation now?
I don't know. Well, I don't understand. So what would the motivation of these Muslim terrorist groups that kill be?
That's what I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I do not know.
Really? Well, I got to tell you, I could recommend several good books for you. I could recommend several documentaries for you, or I could recommend a newspaper, a computer with wire services, groups that claim responsibility. Go look at the religious philosophies or the stated philosophies and goals of these terror groups. I think it's right there in black and white. And you are closing your eyes and you, Megan, are part of the problem. My goodness, you don't know? What is Islamic Jihad's goal? What is Hezbollah, Hamas, Al-Qaeda? Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. Right on down the line. You don't know what their goals are, why they do what they do? On an individual level, I certainly do not. No, I do not. On an individual level? You mean every terrorist? Why did the hijackers do what they did? Why did the hijackers who blew up the World Trade Center do what they did?
I don't know.
You don't know. All right, that ends. All right, Megan, really, I appreciate the
well,
call. When you find out, you let me know, because we'd like to report it to the folks.
That sounds great.
Thank you, Megan. Bye-bye. Megan Garber, ladies and gentlemen.